Would you believe me if I told you that Juve already lived longer than most humans in history? It sounds crazy, but for much of our past, just making it to your teenage years was a massive achievement. The concept of a long, leisurely life is a surprisingly modern invention. And when you look back at the numbers, you'll be shocked at how different things were. So, let us dive into some historical age facts that will make you appreciate every birthday you've ever had. Life expectancy was only surprisingly low for most of human history. Let's travel back to the Stone Age. Around 30,000 years ago, anthropologists studying prehistoric remains estimate that the average life expectancy at birth was a mere 33 years. Think about that for a second. If you're older than 33, congratulations! You've outlived the average Stone Age person. This shockingly low number wasn't because people's bodies just gave out in their 30s. The primary reason was an incredibly high infant mortality rate. Many children didn't survive their first few years due to disease, malnutrition, and the lack of basic medical care we take for granted today. If you managed to survive childhood and reach the ripe old age of 15, your chances improved significantly, and you could realistically expect to live into your 40s or even 50s. Let's fast forward to the days of ancient Greece and Rome, a period we often associate with great philosophers, thinkers, and long-bearded scholars. You might assume things got much better, but the numbers are still startling. For the classical Greeks and Romans, life expectancy at birth hovered somewhere between 20 and 35 years. Again, this figure is heavily skewed by the tragic reality of infant and child deaths. A Roman baby had roughly a 30% chance of dying before their first birthday. Diseases like dysentery, typhoid, and smallpox ran rampant with no known cures. However, if a Roman man survived the perils of childhood, military service, and disease, living into his 60s or 70s was not out of the question. We have records of emperors like Augustus living 275 and Tiberius 277. These were the exceptions, not the rule, and their wealth afforded them better nutrition and sanitation than the average citizen could ever dream of. Even into the medieval and Renaissance periods in Europe, life was a fragile affair. The average life expectancy at birth remained stuck in the low 30s. The Black Death alone wiped out an estimated 30 to 50% of Europe's population in the 14th century, a catastrophe that drastically lowered the average lifespan for that generation. For the English aristocracy in the 5th-10th century, who had access to the best food and living conditions of the time, life expectancy from birth was still only about 30 years. The constant threat of famine, plague, and war meant that death was an ever-present part of daily life. Surviving to see your grandchildren was a rare and celebrated blessing. It wasn't until the 19th and 20th centuries, with the advent of vaccines, sanitation systems, and modern medicine, that we see life expectancy begin its dramatic climb to the 70s and 80s we know today in many parts of the world. Shocking age facts don't just stop with life expectancy. Did you know that the concept of teenager is a 20th century invention? For most of history, there was no transitional period between childhood and adulthood. Once you were physically capable, you were expected to work, marry, and contribute to society like an adult. In many medieval societies, girls could be married as young as 12 and boys at 14. By the time you were 15 or deceased, you were likely already working full-time, perhaps in a field or as an apprentice, and might even have a child of your own. The idea of spending your late teens and early 20s focused on education and self-discovery is a luxury of the modern world. Here is another one. Becoming a Roman emperor was one of the most dangerous jobs in history. If you thought your boss was tough, try ruling Rome. An analysis of the 69 Roman emperors from Augustus to Theodosius found that their average reign lasted just a few years, and about 75% of them died of violent death, most commonly assassination. Being a ruler didn't guarantee a long life. In fact, it often meant you had a target on your back. The average age of death for these emperors was around 43, far younger than the potential lifespan of an ordinary citizen who managed to stay out of trouble and survive childhood diseases. So much for the perks of power. That's it for today. Got a history topic in mind? Comment it down below for our History Minutes.